All right, let me show you how I'm doing this. That one I just sent you the picture of, mustad size 12. I'm using a longer shank hook. It's a lot of material to put on there. So this is the second one. In the vise, okay. I always get a lot of people don't. I do. I always start my stuff at the eye of the hook, and I put in a layer of thread down the entire hook shank. For me, it just helps keep things in position as I'm building. Okay, then I'm gonna bring my thread back up to about right here, so the end of the barb there. So I think on his tail, I believe he is using a tailing material, which I got this whiting tailing pack. It was actually pretty cheap, and you could make thousands of flies with this. Probably not thousands, but there's a shitload of material here. So there's a lot of different colors and variations. I mean, just in this one little feather right here, that you can see how many different things you can. I mean, here's some light, longer stuff. Here's some darker stuff that's a little bit shorter, fuzzy stuff you can make. You could use for a tail. So just for shits and giggles, I'm just going to use a piece of this. So you want to grab, I don't know, a dozen fibers or so, maybe. Set your tail length however long you want. Kind of like that. Tie that in. As with any feather, I always kind of like hold it. Kind of like hold it on your side, and then wrap in. It will center it pretty easily, just like that. Right? You can either cut this excess off or just bury it. I'm gonna bury it. So if it's standing up like that, you can always just wrap onto it. It'll kind of lay it down. Or if you wanted it to stand up, you could see that I just wrapped one layer and it straightened it out there. One wrap. So the more I do that, the more it's gonna buckle it down. Okay, so now I'm gonna tie in that hot spot and use just glow yarn. You can pick this stuff up. This is what everybody makes glow bugs and stuff out of. Again, it doesn't take very much. I don't know, the materials I'm using probably aren't exactly what he's doing. I'm just showing you how to build the bug. So yeah, I'm gonna grab about that much. You're not gonna need a lot, maybe an inch, maybe a fingernail length. And that, grab my scissors. Okay, so there's actually probably way more. Yeah, it is way more than I need, but whatever. So I'm gonna bring my yarn back up, or my thread back up to that, back up to the end point here. I'm gonna set this down, kind of gauge it where I want it to lay. Now keep in mind that I'm gonna straighten this out, so I'm gonna make it a little longer. I'm gonna make it a little bit longer than what I actually want the end product to be. So stuff can be kind of tricky. So I'd take one loose wrap just to kind of get it to set, and then I'm gonna go back Okay, don't let go of this, and you'll see why here in a second. So keep a hold of that. Grab some good sharp scissors or a razor blade. Come in and cut that so it's straight. Okay. Now gonna just wrap this up. Wrap it up. Pretty much. I'm not gonna go all the way up to the eye because then you crowd the eye and then it becomes a bitch to tie, to put on your line if you crowd up that eye. So there's that. Again, sharp scissors. Trim all that out. Wrap it all in. Doesn't have to be pretty at this point. Okay, so now we have that hot spot in there. And we have a body built, right? So next I'm gonna tie in, I'm gonna come back up to the front and I'm gonna tie in that copper wire. So the thing about copper wire, you can buy it on you buy it on spools, right? Sometimes you can find it in various thicknesses, and you can also find it in different colors. So there's black. Over there, I have a couple different colors of green. I have some green. Here's a chartreuse. I also have a gold over there. So, yeah, there's some different colors. But the one thing, whenever you work with copper, you want to make sure that you are using a different scissor than what you would use for your thread. I just use these Fiskars safety scissors, or like I have these older Anadromos scissors. These are actually pretty decent, especially for the money. And I think they sell them at Rusty's. If you don't have these yet, these things are heaven to finish off a fly with. So yeah, I'm gonna put in that wire. I always like to set my wire on the top. I don't know why, it just seems easier for me. So there's that. So I wrapped to the back and just let it hang out there. Well, there's quite a bit hanging out here. You know, there's, I don't know, 4 inches or so. So then for your dubbing, again, I'm sure it's not the right color that he's using, but just for the sake of showing you how I made that bug, I'll grab a little bit. And again, you don't need, actually it's probably too much, but actually, you know what, while we're talking about it, so I have a little bit extra. Let me show you this. So you can mix dubbing, right? So I grabbed this one here. Let me grab a little bit of this one. It's a little bit more flashier. So set that down. Grab another pinch, right? So now I have my 2 different colors. Just mix them together. Okay. Just mix them all together. Now you kind of have a, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So I'm gonna split that in half. This is gonna be too much to work with, but I'll make it work. Just stretch that noodle out a little bit more. So hopefully you can see that. come back to basically where this started. I'm just going to wrap up. Another little twist. Now this eye is quickly becoming crowded. I'll put just a little bit more of that dubbing on. Again, there's not much there. I'm gonna bring my thread back just a bit. And for my feather, this is just a hen saddle. Whiting sells these like in a pack where you just kind of get a whole bunch of random stuff. And I like these. I think I got it on Amazon. It was like, I don't know, $25 or so. And you get a lot of different colors and stuff. So you want to find a feather though that isn't super long. You just kind of have to dig through the cape and find it. So right here's what I'm going to use. Pop it out. Thankfully my email's not blown up. And oh, what the hell? Don't know what the fuck happened there. What the fuck? Technical fucking difficulties, I suppose. There's my dog. There it is. All right, let's hope that works. So I got my feather. I'm gonna strip off some of the end. So I've cleaned that up. So I'll lay it in there like this. So I always do whenever I set a feather, I always go at an angle, especially if I'm going to be wrapping it. So you'll notice my thread's at the front, right? So, and my feather here is starting at the front. So like I said last night, just like a woolly booger. If you look at this fly, there's a lot of similarities between a woolly booger and this nymph here. So, motherfucker. It's almost like this thing's not strong enough to hold onto this new phone. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this in. Okay. Motherfucker. And then all right, so that sucked because that's kind of an important piece. But just like as if you were to use up a woolly bugger, you wrap backwards and then you take your wire and you use the wire to capture the feather, and then you just kind of dance it through that hackle, coming back up to the eye. Right? And once you get back up to the eye, you just set it in like that. You just kind of bend it over and wrap it with a bunch of thread wraps. Really get that set in there. Right? Now some guys will take and just spiral this off, which you could do that too. Never works for me, just like it didn't there. But be careful when you do this because you don't want to cut your thread. Okay. I'm going to take this extra feather here and just rip it out. There's that. We'll whip finish it. If you want to make it really durable, you could throw a piece of, or a little bit of super glue in there. Use these scissors I mentioned. Bam. Okay, now if you want, you can come back and trim it out. But there you go. You could clean it up a little bit if you wanted to, but looks pretty good to me. It'll fish. Yeah, buddy.